Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. Humans Are Peaceful, written by Weggian Warrior. Cacaldo took a deep breath. The human trader was slowly walking down the street, greeting other sentients left and right, even when the imposing biped towered over them. Feeling his heart's racing, Cacaldo stepped out from his little shop. "Hello, trader. I wonder if I can impose on your time." The human paused, bright eyes behind a pair of slightly opaque lenses took the young Lilfit in briefly, before the lower half of the human face opened in a wide smile. Cacaldo stared at his shudder, then relaxed. The smile, he recalled, was a sign of human happiness. "Young Cacaldo, isn't it? Dealer in used electronics and information. Mostly information, yes. What can I do for you today?" Cacaldo looked up, trying to make his mouth mimic the human expression. He was sure he had talked to this human before, yet his name was not known. Part of the mystery he hoped to unravel. "Hello, trader. I seek understanding." "Call me Josh, Cacal. Can I call you Cacal? Walk with me around the market and we'll talk." Part of Cacaldo's mind wanted to say no. His name was part of him, but the human seemed so genuine, so friendly. Clearly no insult was meant. Cacaldo turned and quickly locked up his little shop, then hurried up to the human's side. The human started walking again at an easy, slow pace. "Fellow friend Josh, I am trying to understand why humans can travel so easily, how humans are welcomed everywhere, how you can trade with all sides in a conflict." The human looked at him, the soft skin around the corner of the human's eyes crinkling slightly, as the human made an odd ha-ha sound. "Cacal, you know the answer. Humans are welcome everywhere because humans are friends with everyone. We've never started any wars, never had to haggle over prices, never deliver less than promise. We are, in short, peaceful. And yet you are Deathworlders and carnivores. What is known of human pre-FTL history is dominated by strife. Humanity breaks the mold, fellow friend Josh." The human seemed to consider what Cacaldo had said, as a path seemed to open in front of them in the busy street. "It's no secret that..." The human was interrupted by a Lugs youngling darting after a ball in front of them. Chuckling, the human caught the child and raised it in the air, tossing it up slightly and catching it gently again. "Careful there, young Soak. Yes, Soak, offspring of Canol. Running into the street can be dangerous." The human lowered the youngling onto the street again. "Your brood mother probably worries over you, Soak. You should go home. One day you'll be a mighty warrior, but today is not that day." The young Lugs stared up at the human, mouths agape, then turned and scurried away, disappearing in the throng. "Ah, kids, as I was saying, Cacal, there is no secret that humanity has a checkered past. But can we not improve? Must we always be monsters?" Cacalgedo considered what the human had said in silence, as their pair slowly walked through the business district. "Friend Josh, how come you knew the youngling's name? Knowing the names of the traders I can understand, but..." The human smiled and gingerly tapped the side lenses covering his eyes. "Some free information for you to trade, Cacal. Human smart glass are tied to the hyperweb, because it is useful to know the names of new friends, the wares a city needs, the social mores of friendly species, or what a fellow trader can offer." Cacalgedo found his head dipping forward, mimicking the human body language for agreement. "So you found the information on the hyperweb, but..." Friend Cacal, a youngling, listens when a stranger knows his name, just like a trader listens when a stranger offers a good deal. Cacalgedo thought hard for a heartbeat. "It are the deals, are it not? You're welcome everywhere because humans always offer good deals." "Humans never ask for more than you can afford, Cacal. Most of the time, you can't afford not to take up a human offer." The human paused for a second, accepting a gift of fruit from a vendor in one of the many small stalls. "Humanity offers friendship and the opportunity to prosper to everyone, friend Kakal, and luckily for humanity, most other races are eager to accept. Kakal Gado walked in silence as the human ate the fruit, other vendors casting sidelong glances at the one who'd offered the gift. Friend Kakal, it is in everyone's interest to be welcoming to humans. It is in everyone's interest to trade with us. It is in everyone's interest to keep the peace. The human stopped and smiled at Kakal Gado again, looking around. Kakal Gado realized that they had come back to his little shop. Kakal Gado, remember when I said humans never started a war? That we never haggle? That we never deliver less than promise? Yes, and it is true, but... Kakal Gado, humans like being peaceful. So we end wars without the negotiations about terms and conditions. And when we end wars, we always deliver a final end to hostilities. Do you understand? Kakal Gado thought hard, then mimicked the human nod, then shrank slightly as he turned to unlock his little shop again. The human peered into the semi-darkness of the little business. Nice little shop you got there, friend Kakal. Would be a real shame if something were to happen to it. End of story. Story number 2. Human Hands, written by Numerous Sun 4282. Lamia watched the human work with the greatest interest. She had never seen a human interfacing with a computer before. On this ship, a dozen different sapient species had need of the computers for 1,000,000 different tasks 1,000,000,000 times a day. And yet this was the first time she'd seen a human do it. It wasn't the way Lamia was used to doing it. She'd wrap her shorter and more dexterous tentacle around the input sphere, and it would measure the positions of her tentacles and interpret that into computer functions like scrolling, text, clicking, what have you. It was simple. It was natural. It felt as if she were writing with her tentacles on a physical notepad. The human did not use the spheres. It used a board with a small, oblong half-dome to navigate the system and enter information. At first, Lamia thought poorly of the process, watching the human's hand pass from the board to the half-dome, wiggle it a bit, then pass back to the board. But as she watched, she became mesmerized by the process. The humans didn't have tentacles like Lamia's people. They had hands, and each hand ended in 5 little pseudo-tentacles called fingers. This was the part that fascinated Lamia. She'd watch as the fingers, rigid and relatively inflexible, would scatter across the board like an insect's legs, leaving a little clickety-clack sound in their wake. The human could input data about as fast as anyone thanks to these speedy fingers, and they used them for so much more than computer manipulation. Lamia spent the better part of a week following the human around the ship, observing their use of their hands. The human hands were very gentle. They picked up soft, swishy foods without bursting them and could pluck items out from crowded areas without disturbing the surroundings. Lamia watched the human pull sharp pieces of hardware, nails they were called, from a box without inflicting damage to their hands. The fingers would gently enter the box, pinch a nail, sometimes a couple nails, and withdraw them. No more force than was necessary to hold them. That incident had also revealed to Lamia that human hands were a sort of sensory organ as well. The human hadn't even looked at the box, but was able to grab a nail with ease. They would touch things all the time without seeing them. Their favorite seemed to be their furry companion, whom they'd stroke absent-mindedly as an ancient grooming practice. In the morning, Lamia witnessed a human flail their arms about, their handing slapping at their desks in search of an alarm while their eyes remained closed. Almost every time, the hand found the source of the alarm and was even able to manipulate the buttons on it, without the human ever rising or even looking at the object. They could even detect temperatures as well, as the human explained, when Lamia caught them rapidly tapping a hot, cooking surface. They could check if something was too hot, or perhaps too cold, by touching it lightly. Perhaps not as accurate as the Rashranki's heat-based vision, but not bad all the same. More than just dexterous tools, though, human hands were weapons. Lamia was riveted by a conflict between 2 humans one day. The human clenched their hands, turning them into solid slabs of skin and bone that they hurled at each other, The impacts were fierce and tightly packed bones in hands delivered the force of the blow in localized and devastating hits. Even in fighting, the human hands were great at manipulating. One human opened the hand, catching the fist in their palm and closing their fingers around it. They pulled the hand offline and in, trapping the first human's entire arm and making the conflict grapple rather than a strike. The human hands clenched at everything they could touch. Clothes were grabbed, hair was pulled, faces were even pushed and turned by sturdy fingers. When the fight was broken up, it was by two more humans who came in and used their hands to restrain the arms of the first two and began to pull them apart. While they may not have been as flexible and malleable as Lemire's tentacles, human hands truly were a marvel of evolution in their own way. End of story. I would just quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons, Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Barkey, It's Difficult to Pronounce, Lord Azrakul, and Arcadian.